Hello everybody, Jack here with another video. So, the Activision Blizzard situation is getting worse and worse. What started with a 2-year investigation on the company has now culminated in everybody desiring to see the downfall of the company. And people are really cheerful about it. For after 2 years investigations, clear evidence were found of Activision Blizzard for years neglecting their work, mismanaging employment, straight up engaging in gender discrimination, and of course the sexual harassment, which on a very severe case also ended up with the situation of a female employee committing suicide after male employees harassed her and started sharing pictures of her private in the company. Needless to say, Activision Blizzard got themselves in quite a kerfuffle, but it didn't help that the executive also on their own end decided not to respond correctly. You had the likes of Activision President J. Allen Brack, who instead of straight up admitting the faults that Activision Blizzard had and how they had neglected all these events and not responded beforehand, went instead forth with an internal email that was, well, denying most of the things, painting himself in a good light, and also straight up making argument as to how the events and allegations mentioned in the suit were not reflective of the company's values. The man went and employed the also very known tactic of "my best friend is a feminist," as he mentioned feminist journalist and social political activist Gloria Steinem in the email. But if it wasn't enough to see how disillusioned they were, it really makes you think as to how these companies just doesn't seem to learn anything whatsoever. We have been seeing an ecosystem foster in the entire gaming industry. It's not just Activision Blizzard. We had Riot Games previously. We have currently Ubisoft, who distances itself from the allegation made by employees and other people and straight up refuse to cover them. So to believe that when they are making this type of statement that people are just going to swallow it up just like that is insane. But the insanity doesn't stop there. Using the subtle but ancient art of virtue signaling, they decided to employ a female Activision executive instead, Fran Townsend, who, pay attention to this, only joined the company in March. Went and just had the most... let me read you some of her statements. "I know this has been difficult for many of us. A recently filed lawsuit presented a distorted and untrue picture of our company, including factually incorrect, old, and out-of-context stories, some from more than a decade ago." Well, yeah, you only joined the company for less than 6 months, and you, of course, have a great understanding of how every employees have been feeling and the internal thing that's been going on. Yeah, of course. The Activision company of today, the Activision companies that I know are great companies with good values. And this is all said while completely disregarding the fact that a multitude of employees had already complained to the human resources, but nothing had occurred. So her saying that decades old stories, yeah, it is relevant, and flashing a badge of being part of the women's network doesn't mean that you are completely understanding how these poor females have been feeling in their workplaces. And this, by the way, is not a women exclusive thing. So you have plenty of male employees who also have come up to talk about their own harassment. Like this testimony here that was posted on the WoW Reddit a few days ago.
They said this does not represent who Blizzard is. Yes, it does. And it has for a long time. Since my first day back in 2012, I was sexually harassed and women have it way worse. One of my employees was told by a technical director to her face in front of witnesses during one of these cube crawls that absolutely do exist, that he didn't like her because she wasn't giving him head. When an employee was sexually assaulted at a holiday party, we had to fight tooth and nail with HR to get them to take any action, through which they victimized her and blamed her. Now we've got an employee who's taken her own life, seemingly because of the treatment that she experienced at the hands of her leadership and her coworkers. Yeah, it's real. It's you. Be better.
While it is understandable that the company is going to try to save face in the media, which is the platform that is affecting them the most, Obviously, money is also most important, as for anybody who has been checking the Activision Blizzard stocks recently, well, stonks has been going on a free fall, diving deeper than Jeff Bezos' self-confidence when he found out that those wings that he acquired from his space travel were pretty much useless. The thing that annoys people the most is these performative statements that are so very empty and devoid of any sincerity whatsoever. While the current event is the straw that broke the camel's back, this has been an underlying issue for quite a while. Think of a situation like the Blitzchung apology from BlizzCon 2019, which was clearly written by the PR department and, well, approved by the CCP, because that was definitely just them dick riding China. Which, by the way, I remember that J. Allen Bragg was wearing like a LGBT patch on his shirt at the time, which we obviously know does not fly in China. So it's all just performative and they don't even believe a single thing that they say. Back in the days when I still was an active player, people were getting harassed, online certainly, which of course is part of the culture, but it should not be. But people IRL, both employees and gamers, will receive death threats all the time. There was situations of abuse that went neglected. People would try to reach out to GMs, game masters, who are supposed to bring these complaints back over to HR, if you want to say it like that, but nothing was ever done. And the reason for this was simply that Blizzard decided to just go full on cheap. There were not enough game masters. The very people who were supposed to be addressing these complaints and working with us were never present because there just weren't enough. Blizzard was largely understaffed to handle these issues, and for the few GMs that were around, they were just stressed the hell out because they had to live up to some metrics that were established there already. And Blizzard, or let's just say Activision Blizzard, has shown no intention of budging in the right direction. Like how recent reports have shown that the Warcraft 3 Reforged that was just completely neglected was something that they knew beforehand, and so did we. How World of Warcraft itself has turned into a machine that really does not satisfy the players at all, because one could obviously make the argument that you have some workers in there, a majority of which of course have engaged in good work ethics and deserve to have a good work environment. But if a company hires somebody who has to be taught how not to harass people, said individuals should most certainly not be employed in the company. For at the end of the day, what is said certificate of having conducted this kind of training for, except for smoothing things out when a case finally occurs? Warcraft itself has become very devoid of any of the soul that he had in the very beginning, as WoW tokens and gear essentially is something that you can just buy for gold, is literally turned into a pay to win. They have completely removed the very mentality that gives MMO a meaning, that of actually achieving something, but it's gone. Now, of course, given the public pressure that's being put on the company, we are seeing some sort of progress. You have ex-executives who have come forth to give their, let us say, sincere apologies, in the likes of Green Jesus himself, Chris Metzen, who talked about how he had failed the employees in his time or his tenure before he left the company. You have nearly 3,000 developers who have signed the letters calling out the response to the allegations that was just absolutely abhorrent. And even tomorrow, according to a tweet made by IGN, Activision Blizzard employees announced that they will be staging a walkout to protest the leadership in the wake of the lawsuits highlighting the harassment, inequality and more within the company. So we are seeing progress. Actually, scratch that a bit, since at the point of me editing this video, Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision Blizzard, the man himself who is on the blacklist, friends with Jeffrey Epstein, and who had a case for 11 years ago of harassment himself, where he had to make a big settlement for forcing an employee to, or at least desiring to force an employee to be an escort for him. Well, what did he say? Now remember, the last time they even implicated the fact that the victim's family, the poor girl who unfortunately took her life, was implicated in the lawsuit by California State, which they themselves were not willing to acknowledge, but well, they would of course push the blame and not give justice to the family and acknowledge their fault. But now, this is the statement from Kotick. This has been a difficult and upsetting week. I want to recognize and thank all those who have come forward in the past and in the recent days. I so appreciate your courage. Every voice matters, and we will do a better job of listening now and in the future. Our initial responses to the issue we faced together and to your concerns were, quite frankly, tone deaf. It is imperative that we acknowledge all perspectives and experiences that respect the feelings of those who have been mistreated in any way. I am sorry that we did not provide the right empathy and understanding. Many of you told us that active outreach comes from caring so deeply for the company, that so many people have reached out and shared thoughts, suggestions, highlighted opportunities for improvement is a powerful reflection of how you care for our communities of colleagues and players and for each other. Ensuring that we have a safe and welcoming work environment is my highest priority. The leadership team has heard you loud and clear. We are taking swift action to be the compassionate, caring company you came to work for and to ensure a safe environment. There is no place anywhere for our company for discrimination, harassment, and unequal treatment of any kind. We will do everything possible to make sure that together we improve and build the kind of inclusive workspace that is essential to foster creativity and inspiration. I have asked the law firm Wilmer Hale to conduct a review of our policies and procedures to ensure that we have maintained best practice to promote a respectful and inclusive workplace. This work will begin immediately. The Wilmer Hale team will be led by Stephanie Avenkian, that's a nice name, who is a member of the management team at the Wilmer Hale and was most recently the director of the United States Security and Exchange Commission's Divisions of Enforcement. Wow, that is a mouthful. We encourage anyone with an experience who believe violates our policies or in any way made you uncomfortable in this workplace to use any of many existing channels for reporting or to reach out to Stephanie. She and her team at Wilmer Hale will be available and speaking following hours. Of course, no retaliation will be tolerated. Now, the following there is actually the good part of it because they finally give something that is tangible to hold on to, actual solutions to the problems and who are going to execute such solutions, such as the employee support. We will continue to investigate each and every claim and will not hesitate to take decisive action. To strengthen our capabilities in this area, we are adding additional senior staff and other resources to both the compliance team and the employee relation team. Listening sessions, talking about how to improve the work culture. Creating safe pieces moderated by a third party, which is actually pretty good. Sometimes, just like the aforementioned investigation and the reviews of the policies, which is headed by a third party, you sometimes want to do that within a company, especially one that faces these kind of allegations. If only so to soothe the public opinions, because obviously people are going to assume that you have a bias towards certain things. So if said third party, of course, is not corrupt, we are going to see some rather good results in the future. And then there's this part about the hiring practices, where he states that earlier in the year he sent an email requiring all hiring managers to ensure that they had diverse candidates slate for all open positions. Now, diversity is not everything, of course it is good, but the thing that was pretty much made clear was that although people were diverse, still they were discriminated against, so that is certainly the one thing that should be dealt with. And of course the in-game changes and such things, but to me personally, I've given up on that. So this is the statement from Bobby Kotick. Obviously I'm pretty sure that this is not just him, he has gone through it with careful thought, but if they only had done that in the very beginning instead of giving us the weird stuff from before, especially the one stated by J. Allen Brack, it would have been a lot better. But like most of these companies, unfortunately, while the development has been halted and many are somehow prioritizing that, I understand that people are going to suffer from the fact that they cannot work in these conditions, but only through hitting Activision Blizzard where it hurts, their wallet, is the only way that we truly can make them budge. And certainly also the pressure that's been put by the public is also very important to keep on going. Now with these ongoing things, you have a bunch of companies coming forth and stating that they will not cover anything Activision Blizzard or the aforementioned Ubisoft as well. That's another demon that we're going to be dealing with a bit later. Some are urging people not to play the game. You have YouTubers who have cancelled their card reveals, so the expansion of the Hearthstone game was also something that has been halted. Dedicated WoW channels have decided not to cover anything WoW related anymore, and even Asmongold, the biggest WoW player out there, has not logged into the game for over a week now. The thing here is that nobody whatsoever should have been suffering from this issue, at least not any consumer, because you are paying for a product. But when the product itself is really flawed, I think that people taking some time off, boycotting Blizzard a bit, seeing them take a break and realizing how bad things may go, it's a good thing. But that is just my opinion. I'd like to know yours in the comment section below. With that said though, I wish you all a wonderful day and see you guys in the next video.